Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ banjo, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ banjo, Akirash dìde oko jó, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ banjo. Well, I would say thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out. I think this talk will not be much of like talking about the works or stories or stories. I want it to be more kind of a dialogue between us. I'm happy that we are doing in the gallery that the show is going on. You have questions, I will only tell you a little bit about how I start the works, what inspired me to do it. And then if you have questions within them, I think with that we can be able to debate and dialogue over all the works and what inspired you, what you think you want to know, and then I will be here to answer it. Okay, the first thing I will say is this. I'm the kind of person that I'm curious, and I feel so much pressure when I see something that is not clear to me. So I think that's what curiosity was what brought this project. I was given a different fellowship to do different projects in Brazil. So after 2 weeks of my time in my studio, I was invited to Egungun Festival. Though I came from background of Nigeria, my great-grandfathers are hunters, and those days the hunters become the king. Why? Because they are the one who could defend the town or the village. So from generation to generation, we becomes the royal towards the family. So, and with this also, Egungun Festival is one of the things that if you are the royal, you are the king, it means you have the chances to be to everything that happens in your surrounding. It's your duty to be responsible for it. So I remember when we are kids, it's one of the things that you look forward to, just like kids look forward to Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, and co. So you look forward to it because of how enjoyable it is, how creativities of seeing dancing, movement, body kind of engagement with people. Even though that time we are kids, we have no idea if individual of those costumes or that masquerade have a purpose. For us as kids, it's because of that time that you could get a new cloth, you eat a lot of food, you dance, you hear music. It's most kind of a free movement for you to do things. Your parents will not tell you, don't go there, don't do that. So everybody is like kind of a free. So I think then growing up after graduation, leaving the schools and going into international, working around the whole country. So 2015 changed my life to bring me back to who I am, really, my roots, to go back into this project. So when I was invited to see the Egungun, I was so happy when I saw the invitation that, whoa, for like how many, 15 years or so that I've really seen Egungun performing. That would be cool to see it. So I was so happy to have to invite other 5 artists who are in the residence with me. So they are so happy to go. And during that moment was the time that Carnival is coming back to Brazil. That is closer to February. So you know the country is all full of different nationality that comes to enjoy the Carnival. So, and for us, as I was growing up, masquerade or Egungun is something that people do in the public space. It's never done in a secret space. The only thing that they do in a secret place is the dressing, which give you the chances that you don't know who is wearing it, who is under that costumes, what are the procedure. You don't see that. So that is what they do in what they call, that space is called Igbale. And Igbale is what I try to create for you here. But in those days, because it was built with grasses and bamboos, and you can't see what is inside it. But as I said, this project is for me to look into the back of in the past, bring the past to the present, and then let's look into the futures that we are looking into, and the transparency of what religion is all about, and what belief and every other thing that goes behind it. And for me, I believe that if you want the whole world to know about your culture, your religions, and as we are, or many of us are immigrants to different countries, what do we do? What is our religions that we are doing before? What is our belief? What is our culture? How do we dress? What kind of food do we eat? So if I eat different kind of food when I was living in Nigeria, so it means that if I come to the US, If I cannot find that food, that means I'm going to hungry to death. So this is part of what I'm saying, is that this kind of movement that we try for all over the world has changed who we are, has made us to adjust, has made us to try other people's culture, has made us to be able to live in beside of another people who are different from where we come from. It has given us the chances to eat somebody else's different kind of dialect of dishes. I have a lot of friends who says, no, Akirash, I'm coming to your house. You are going to cook for Christmas. And I always tell them, my food have a lot of pepper. If you eat it, I don't know how you are going to do with it. And it's funny because this is who we are. If you love somebody, I don't think whatever he or she is giving you or what is happening in their house or how they are doing things, you will not irritate with it. You will endure. You will be there too, because of what kind of love, affection that we have. So this is most of things that I think I look into altogether to put this project together. That is not about Africa. It is not about where I come from in Nigeria. It is not about West Africa. It's not about Caribbean. It's not about Brazil. It's not about US or Europe. When we look at mask is done in every part of the world. Europe, they have their different masks. But one thing that is very, very rare is this, that very, very original is, where does mask or masquerade really started from? These are the main thing that I was trying to look deeply into it, to see how we relate to each other with all this. And with that, for me, I'm telling you, it's every day that I still look into this project. And every day I learn new things. And every day it gives me the chances to say, okay, I've not done this side. What can I do to add to that? How can I move this forward? Because the idea was that I want people who ever set their eyes on these works to learn something from it, to open their mind the way it opens my mind. Even though I come from there, and when I saw the festival, I was blown out to be really like, wow, that's cool. But in that moment that everything was done in a closure, I feel so depressed throughout the whole night till the morning. Because I feel this is something that should be done in an open space. Why inside the space? Why the door was closed? Why it is closed between 10 p.m. and it was open 6 a.m. in the morning? So all these kind of things becomes a kind of curiosity of the process that goes through, which is not the same process that I know. So these are things which start asking me question myself, and then I start calling people, sending email, making call back home, and then start to talk to elders and making an arrangement to people to ask questions about, is it because I don't live there anymore? Was it because only when I come home, I come to see my parents and then spend like a week or 2 weeks and I was indoor, I don't have much time to go out anymore. So because if I go home, my mom will say, you are going to go now, I'm not seeing you maybe like another year or 2 years. So I spend most of my time, I will spend it with her and inside the house. So, and also because Festival of Egungun has the particular time that it happens. Like if I'm going to take one, like the one in the front there which has grain, that is purposely because of thanksgiving. It's people doing thanks and giving thanks back to the one who created everything. Because when the farmer farm throughout the whole year or seasons, when they harvest the first fruit from their farm, they don't first eat. The first rule was they will take the first harvest of every fruit that they have, all the farmers, they will take it to the front of the king's palace. So when they do that, this masquerade will be bringing out. It becomes a way of celebrating. It becomes a way of blessing the land, blessing the fruits, and then ask for more abundant things to happen throughout the season and the next season. And then with that, the celebration comes after the prayer. They eat out of it, and then they have the chances now to be able to sell it and also do whatever they want to do with their fruits that remains. So, and also when you look at even the tradition of it, where it really started from, it is not cloth. It is grasses that the first costumes that they use. So that grass is either they will use the green one, fresh one, or they will use the the dried one. And also civilization came to the extent that now, after the first kind of masquerade of using grasses, now people dictate of how to boil flowers, how to boil leaves, extract colors from back of roots and trees,
And then they started using that to become indigo and dye those grasses, becoming the purple and dark blue. So that was the second dimension of the costume in those days. Then after that, civilization came, that they now taught them, when the colonization comes, on how to spin the cotton and create thread out of it. And they weave what they call cloth like kente, like ashoke, which they are very, very, very thick, something like this. Very thick when you see it. And that, they used to weave it in stripes like this. And then stripes, they will now join one by one. And that comes to the next sections of costumes of Egungun. But nowadays, let's just short it. In nowadays, it has become a competition between families who do Egungun really, who are the real families who are owners of Egungun. To like say that, okay, this year, my costume for my Egungun or my masquerade is going to be elegant, that yours family. So this competition becomes what makes the cloth becomes more elegant, more changing. But one thing that's also always constant is whatever you use on them, the symbol you put on them, the mirror you put on it, either you use cloth or you use a clock or you use any other things. All these beads and every other things has significant purpose, have a meaning to those masquerade or costumes that you created. So I will not take you much time. I think with this, I will make it hoping that you have your questions. Then with that, as we are going on, then we could talk more about other things that is really inspired this.
What's the deal with the watches?
It's good.
As I said, civilization comes for us to look at what time is. Time is very, very important to us. We give ourselves time now. We say we should meet here 1 p.m. so that we have the time. And time is something that is very, very important into whatever we do. As time goes, as I said, when you look at it, the costume itself doesn't start with cloth, fabric. It comes with grasses. And fashion, when you look at it, is front and back. And time is what is part of what we do. It is always, constantly, how we do. And as I said, the club, you find it in these two projects and these two costumes because of what they stand for. They are twins. And twins is something that is it's something that you don't, it's not everybody who could have a twins as it is. And in those days, they see twins as more like Orisha, like an idol, like something which is more just ordinary human being. So in those days, so people who can choose out of families who has twins. So twins, anybody who, the first twins that they have, they worship them as if they are different from normal, ordinary human being. They protect them, and they become more like, even some people believe that if you need some things, if you go and give them something, even to the extent that people boil beans as a kind of celebration. Like my dad is twins. And my mom, my grandma, I remember when we were kids, every 6 months, she would cook beans, a lot of beans, and invite a lot of people and make a nice kind of delicious stew that when you are far distance, you smell it, you will run come to say you want to eat out of it. So this becomes, and you know, they use sugar cane, they use a lot of other things that is a little bit sweet to become part of like celebrating them every that kind of 6 months, even apart from their birthday. So for me, I believe that twins and the clock becomes a kind of time and it changes. As I said, it's generation to generation. In Brazil, many of those who are really the slave that was taken as a slave at that time from Africa, the stories that they tell their children, it becomes what another children tell their own children, and the children to children. But one thing is this, every generation to generation, something drop, because it's a story. And the real person who saw that, when it's going to tell that story, something is going to drop, something is going to add to that story. So if another person is going to tell that story, something is going to drop out of that story, another is going to add something to that story. So the story becomes history, and history becomes how you tell it.
is how people will understand it and how they will take it. So, and that is one of the things I've kind of curiosity for me to say, is this right? Or is it wrong? Because the first thing I saw when I saw it was like, no, they are painting a different pictures of what this festival is all about. And then I sit down and start, because I was so somehow worried. And then I start asking myself the question that, okay, maybe I'm taking it in a wrong way. If they are still protecting this festival, I should be happy if I really come from Africa. There are generations of slaves who comes here and they still protect what we have. Even though if I see it that something is wrong, I have a tools as an artist to make it right. So to make it right is what I'm trying to do by working on it. The idea first was not for me to create 10 costumes, was for me to write about it, to make sketches about it. And then I put that in my studio and I was looking at it. And I think I have a studio visit from 2 curators. And then one of them was looking at the wall. He saw a lot of sketches and then he started reading about all these things. And he says, when are you going to work on this? And I said, oh, they are not something I want to work on. Not like I just want to analyze it and see what is it, not really producing anything behind it. Then she told me, she said, no, nobody is going to understand it. And you yourself, you are not going to be able to sleep well unless you finish this. You put it out in a way that people will visualize it. Then I working on only one. So when I finish one become 2, 2 become 3, and 3 become 4. So finally they become this 10. And to the extent to tell you the fact, even though I tell people that I'm not going to work on it, anytime I enter a space where I put it sewing machine and I have cloth and the people continue donating cloth for me, like then now I'm still thinking, because the story never ends. It has a divination of different places where they divide into. And without producing them, then people cannot understand it. Even if I tell the story, but it's a different thing when you visualize things and really bring it out the way it's supposed to look at.
These have a presence, like they're deities or something. There's something about the whole structure that is more than all that fabric.
Yes.
Okay. The ones on the wall look like decorative aspects that might belong to these. Is that intentional or is that not?
Okay. The first set, Mom, was those cloths that I sewed. But because we are dealing with costumes themselves, which is a complete one, and then we are also talking about masks themselves. Yeah. Then we are talking about also symbols. And in those days, symbols are not purposely for even body. It is a communication between one king to another king in another town. Okay. So they have what they call, in traditional, they call it aroko. It's more like a kind of a proverb. They will take, let's say they take this cloth, they had it together. Then they take a pen, they put a pen inside it. Then they take a paper, a leaf, they put it together. And they will now roll them together. They will now use a rope to tie it. They will give it to you. If they give it to you as a message, go to the next village and give it to the next king. Okay. No matter whatever you do, even if you open it, even if you do anything with it, you can't understand exactly what it means.
And that's what those people...
So I will get there. So when you deliver it to the next king or the next town, the shift there, when they open it, when they see the layers of everything, how it's what they put together, they understand what message is. And they will create their own. They will give it to you as a message back reply to take back to your king or to your elders who send you. When you take it there, there's a way, these days they said there is kind of like CID or something like that. It has started years back, without allowing the third people, both of you when you are speaking, to the same when I was kid, when I'm with my grandparents, when my great-grandfather was around, when they speak, no matter whatever they are saying, you will never understand it. Because they speak in code. They use the symbols to communicate. So what I'm trying to do was, when you look at those ones on the wall, the idea was to look at mask and to look at us as also human beings. When we walk around, it doesn't mean because I laugh and I say, oh, you look good today and this, I appreciate what you are doing, doesn't really mean that I mean it deeply into my heart. Because you can only know if you can open my heart, that's when you know if I mean the word that I mentioned to you. But the only thing there is that because we have this face and then we have another face. And that face we have is what we call the mask. But the face that everybody see is only this one that we are, that is shiny, that we use cream and powder and then lipstick to make everything look good. But there's other one inside. It's just like when we look at the politicians, most of the time they stand on the podium because they need our votes to put on their hand. They can tell us so many things that they want. Doesn't mean that those things that they said they will do or it will happen will definitely happen. Or doesn't even mean that we will be able to see them one in one again until another 4 years. You see, so the same thing is what I'm trying to do. I know you are looking at the colors of this and the colors of that. Is that first thing you are looking at? Okay, the colors look...
I don't necessarily associate that one with that.
Ah, okay.
But they're in proximity. But
yeah.
I was just wondering, since this seems like a whole being, living being, and that seems like an ornament.
Ornament. Yes, I think the idea was also because these are huge. The idea was when I saw them, I was thinking that, okay, it will be good at the same time to show them in the gallery. And at the same time, to be able to wear them, to put life into them, to see them moving and the way they move. Shekere lo banjo, shekere lo banjo, Akirash dide kojo, shekere, shekere lo banjo. Because that is the idea. But with this, it could be easily hung in anybody's home or in anywhere in the world. But with this, it has purpose. And the purpose of it was to be able to move, to be able to see them being lively. Because most of the time when we go into the gallery or we go into the museum, we only see them this way. But since I'm bringing them into the way that contemporary today of art, rather than just showing them, because those are not the collections that they have in the museum. These are I want to make a statement with them. We want people to be able to enjoy it. Just purposely, how I enjoy it when I was a kid. How I see them being used. So.
Thank you again for coming. My name is Leticia, and I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about the significance of the 3 videos here. Particularly thinking about, I mean, these are all 3 different spaces.
Yes.
I know the space you share a little bit of the private space and the public, but there's no audience, present in that. And then leading to that, curious about your collaboration with the curator and how all of this interacts and communicates with each other. Your decision to have everything in its place. I love this space.
Okay. Let's first look at, you're talking about the video. The video, the first one on that place is looking at telling the story behind that first costumes you see at the other end, that blue one. Because the idea, as I said, is that individual of these costumes has a purpose, has a meaning. But to tell the meaning, even though as they are standing, it comes with that story. And that story is what we try to tell in that first video. If you look at it, it's only that costumes, that only one that you see that was in that performance. And the second one you see here, I was doing documentation right from the process in my studio, working on them. You know, to tell you the fact, I don't know how to sew in the first place. I don't know how to use sewing machine. I don't. But I have the idea of how to do them, how to put them, what I want to happen, how I want it to look like. I have it here. And having it in here is different from seeing it standing like this. And to see it standing like this, because costumes are layers of cloth, not just like ordinary straight and simple that you just put machine and it's sewed. When you put any other machine on it, you break a lot of needles. And I do that because that's what I thought. At first, I asked somebody to help me to sew. But you know the funniest thing is this, I make her unhappy every day. Because anytime she works, and I've told her, okay, this is how this is, I cut it and she put them together. When she go home, before she come back, because I love to work midnight, before she come back, I've lose everything out. I pay her a money right as we agree. That is not my problem. My problem is I want it to be exactly how as I imagine, how my sketches are. But so she doesn't talk. She just like, I thought I did this yesterday. Where's the one I did yesterday? Is this the only one? I says, there's a little mistake on it. We just need to correct it. And first day, you know, like that, she's okay. Second day, my other assistants in the studio, they will look at me like Akirash, and I will tell them, this is not sculptures. We are not talking about the other sculptures or painting that we are doing. This is a different project. And they will keep quiet. But they know. So when we are having a meeting and we are discussing, they will bring it up. I said, that woman, she's not happy, Akirash. And I will tell them, I said, I know. But happiness is not the issue, but it is the outcome of what we are going to put together that's more important. I said, because if she's not happy, and I say, okay, I accept it that way. If I present it, people will look at, what is that? So then, when that continued happening, I gave her a holiday. I said, I'm traveling. So when I travel for like a week to do different projects, I start researching for machines, sewing machines, which are industrial, which will sew layers of cloth. And doing that, I bought a singer. So when I bought one, I will start working on it. I will sew like this. All the others, all my kids, and they just laugh. They will laugh like, that is not straight. That is like going different left. And I will tell them, don't worry. We will get there. So I continue doing that. I break the first machine without repairing. So I start looking for second-hand one. So I bought a new one. I bought another second-hand one. I used that one to repair the first one I bought. So now, for me, I always say that there's no knowledge that we have that doesn't always come back. So now I use that to repair one. Then I start using that. Then finally, I was talking to somebody and he said, oh, I know where you can find industrial machine. Then we find one industrial machine on eBay. Then I bought it, they bring it home. So I start learning how to sew gradually. So finally, all this happening. So that's also, those are the processes I want people to see. And also you see that I was dressing because when you wear it, because I know people are going to wear it. And I cannot wear all the 10 at once. But I have to test it and first feel how people are going to feel inside it. And also because I need to document them in the public space, taking photographs, a little video, to be able to look for grant. Because one of the things is this, you don't have that money. Even if you go to the bank and say you need money for this, they will first look at your face like, So, but to get the grant, I need something to prove to them that, yes, this is the stage I am, but I need this to be able to finish this. So this is what you see that I try to put together. And also in part of this, maybe you are going to see some part also where we are rehearsal for the other performance, or also this performance. So this last one video that you see here that you talk about is about that costume that is in front here, which is about harvest. Which is Thanksgiving, when people finish the harvest, then they give thanks by coming together and presenting their first fruit, and then do the prayer and blessing it. So this is the stories of that one that we did in this one. Does that answer your questions?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Whatever you wanted to share.
I have another question
Yes.
about the pieces on
This
the back. The fabric,
Okay.
it looked like plastic. Did you create that fabric? Or is it plastic that you molded? How did you do the designs on it? What was the process?
It's a good question. And one thing I would say is that you would have to go to my website.
Oh, okay.
That's one. That is first thing I would say, because you see, as I said, my work in the past are not ordinary fabric, but my works are inspired through textile, through old textile, old weaving of loom, of cloth, of in those days. And what I did was that I don't want to use fabric, I don't want to use cloth, but I want for you to feel, when you see it, you have doubt in your mind immediately you see that, no, that is fabric. Because that is what you think when you see that.
I didn't know what it was.
So, but it's not fabric, it is paper.
Okay.
The beginning of it is paper. What I do was that I used to fold paper very, very small, like not like this, the height. Then I'll use scissors and cut them into the shapes of people. So when I cut them into the shapes of people, because my work is inspired through textile, I follow the rules of textile, of setting them up in a kind of a pattern of design. Then a lot of other process goes in there. And also I don't paint with brushes on them. Because why? I want to have that feelings of using sewing machine or using embroidery machine. Because when you get closer to them deeply, you see that they are more like a line or like a zigzag. Because I paint with thread, I mix my paint. This is where my chemistry of those days comes back into it, of like creating my own way of the paint. With a lot of things I'm not going to share,
Right.
which they are ingredients, secret, like my mom used to say. When you said, can you tell me what is the secret behind that soup? You tell me, you are going to take my husband away. So that's my own recipe. So then I used to use thread. I put thread into paint, and then I paint with that. It's a lot of time taking, it's a lot of patience, because as it is, because you can't paint, because it's not flat. Right. They are like in a curve. So to paint on them, you have to do side by side, angle by angle.
It looks complex.
It looks complex. I like, to tell you the fact, I like complex.
Yes.
People, sometimes, you know, my mom asked one question one day. I think she asked me, you don't have patience. How come you are patient to do these works that you always do? Because before, she never know how I work. She only see finished work. But coming to stay with me and stay with me for like a month and see process of me working on one work, like the way it goes, he was like, where do you get this? When do you have this rest of mind to do things like this? You don't have patience with anything. And I said, well, when it comes to my work, I don't know where it comes from, but I have that patience. So, and it's also the same thing with weaving. It's always difficult because it's cardboard. And it's just like paper. They are flexible. They are very tough to like control. It grows with years to be able to control them and turn them into more architectural. So you have more chance of, see, when you go to my website, you see the way I've used cardboard or the way I've used boxes or papers in different form. And also I have, every year I used to, Emily, please, can you give me one of that books behind? Every year I used to put together a kind of review on what I do throughout the year. And the new book for last year just comes out, which is what is behind there. I think for you to know, every year we only print not more than 100 copies. The idea was because we want it to be unique. We want it to have, whoever have it. And it's not more than, it doesn't be more than 5 in one city. So this one was from the last year's, throughout part of the project from last year. So your question you are asking about, this is also the same materials of that materials. The same materials from that is the same material. But it's just the process.
So what kind of sewing machine do you have now? It looks like it's a Bernina.
Yes, yes.
It's the only one that can.
Bernina is to tell you the fact, I love it after I found it.
It's the kind you can throw off a mountain and it'll still.
Yes, as long you have the right grade,
Yes.
you lay like 4 or 5 layers of cloth. Mm-hmm. It will just go as if a truck is climbing on top of. So. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. You talked about the symbolism of the green and being Thanksgiving and harvest, and I was wondering if there were any of the other pieces that had specific color meaning or seasonal meaning or anything else.
Yeah, there is one behind it, which is like, when you look at the one in the front, you see there's a lot of babies on surrounding it.
Yes.
It's also looking at, because people believe in those days that adults have things they enjoy. They create a kind of festival, kind of masquerade for children, just only to celebrate children. So that is what that is standing for. And when you look at that one, then there's one which is this one standing there. It's all about the new moon. Because those days, the only thing how people dictate pregnancy counting and any other things is by using the moon. And they have behind their wall, behind their own wall, the hut that they build, they do a kind of a small little white clay. They do it there, and they use chalk, charcoal, to mark, women mark every moon, new moon, they mark it. My pregnancy is now 2 moon, it's now 3 moon, it's now 4 moon. So civilization comes, that clock comes into it. We have what they call January, February, March, April. So, as I said, the idea for me was to bring in the past and interwoven it into the present. And then also to start also looking at what will happen in the future. I will not be here to tell that. Maybe you may be here to see that is going to happen. Because as we said, when you look at watches, look at the phone. You have a phone right now. You just bought it, it's the latest. I gave you, that latest is going to last like a month. Another new one is going to come out. So yours will be like, I have to buy this new one. Because they will always give you something new on top of it to just get your money. But the idea, I always ask myself, the idea is this. The one I have, can you call me? Can I hear you? Can you hear me? I think that is what it's all about. By buying a new latest one, and it's still the same. But the only thing is that they will just only add one thing to it. And also this is what we call about the taste. So that is what that one is talking about. And also, as I said, when you look at this one, it's mostly looking about the earth that we step every day. Because in those days, people respect earth a lot. They have a way, they even worship it. They believe so much in it. They have a way to respect it. But you know, in these days, we of this age, I think we've done a lot to damage the earth, the pollution, the so many things that we've created into that earth that we are. Even to the extent now, we damage the whole earth. Now we are trying to take the planet, to go and live in the space. We can't take care of here. How can we take care of that place? So this is what part of what, as I said, they had ears standing, but they are also a question to us. And they are here to question what we are doing. How do we
question ourselves, what are we doing right? How can we find solution to it? We all know there is problem. But for me, I think I've tired of us who always say, oh, problem here, problem there. I think we all know that it's happening. There's this. But the main challenge to all of us is how do we find solution to all those things and make it go forward? And I think it's all of us have contribution to every part of society that we are, or we are community that we are living in. And also when if you take one of those papers that I think one of these, you have, each of them has what it means and what it says. And also, if you leave your emails with them, I will send you a link that will not make you confused, because like this one doesn't have images of each of them to make you not remember it. With that, you find images, then you can read about it, and then so.
Do you ever include audio, music, anything like that with the work that you're showing, or do these have?
Yeah, they have what's music behind them when you listen to it.
Okay.
They have music behind it.
Okay.
I think the idea where we don't allow them playing because there's other 2 or 3 shows, so that it's not becoming too much in the people.
That you created, or is it just some that you selected?
It's music I created.
Okay.
It's music I created because the idea, as I said, is that I'm trying to say something. I'm trying to communicate about something, about issues that is affecting us, that is surrounding us. And to say that is for me to be able to say it, to pronounce it, and let it go with whatever we are putting together or what is showing.
Thank you.
She said she was putting her hand up before.
Me?
Yes.
Oh.
I think it's gone.
So many things.
Yes.
I think it was about, did you have a thing? I was just curious about children reacting to your work, if you have any experiences where you...
I have...
like that you can draw from them.
I have 4-year-old girl and I have 9-year-old. So, and I think when I'm creating anything from my studio, the first thing also was for me to see how they react to them. Because idea for me creating is not only for elder. I try to find a way not to socialize it on a way that, okay, it's going to be some kind of status of people. Even though I need my money to be in my pocket to pay for my bills, fine. But at the same time, I enjoy that everybody in the world should enjoy art, should take away something. I think it's one of the reasons why I like doing things in the public space also, as well as I like indoor gallery or indoor museum. But doing something in the public space, impromptu that you don't plan for it. You are just walking, you just meet it, you are in your car, and then you forget, and everybody just stop with their foot on the brake. The next thing they take is the photographs or using their phone to take photographs, documenting. So this becomes an easy way of letting everybody have something to their mind. Like also this is also another way of like, I can do it and seal it finally, but at the same time, I want people to go inside it. I want you to interact with it. I want you to become part of it. So with that also, you have something you have kept in your mind. Because I remember when I designed it, without building it, I designed a small one on my table in the studio. I asked my daughter, the smallest one, they came with the other friends from school, and they are looking at, and I said, can you go in there? Then they start laughing, because it's very like this. They say, go in there, go inside. Then they start laughing. And I said, you have to go inside, because that is the plan, so that you can go inside. Then the grown-up will ask me, Daddy, are you going to build it big so that people can go inside? And I said, yes, you get it. I said, that is the idea. They say, oh, it's going to be cool. And they asked me if I'm going to put mattress. And I said, I'm not going to put mattress, but I'm going to put a little things that will make you at least be able to feel comfortable when you go inside it. So at the opening, I was not here.
when they came, because it's one of the things they are rushing, they are so eager to come to really see how it looked like and how to go inside it. So for me, I think children are very, very important pertaining to our future. And everything we do now, if we incorporate them into it, it's a way of developing their mind onto what the future is going to look like. Because we are building something now. If we don't train them towards it, then they will destroy it. Because they will not know how to control it. Because the idea was for them to be able to add to it, to build upon it, to make it more greater than what we have presented.
Showing this work in the United and in Nigeria, what is the big difference? What do you feel? What is the big thing between, like, the face
of it
here
and there?
Nigeria?
To tell you the fact, I've not shown it in Nigeria. This is the seventh country since I take them out of the studio. So from here now, as we say, in May, it's going to be in Japan. I'm still, to tell you the fact, it's embarrassing. I'm still, as we are talking this morning, yesterday, there is a call for it for somebody who came here from MoCA, museums in Miami, and they also want to show it towards the next Basel. So I'm telling you, the fact is because I want to show it in Nigeria. The reaction that you are talking about is the same reaction I'm looking for, how they are going to see it. But one thing that I've come to realize is that I've got out of people see it on my Instagrams. They saw it on Facebook of posting it. And I've have a lot of like people which I've interviewed, which they are really from the families of Egungun. And they've been asking me, because they know I'm working on the book to make the book so finally comes out. So they've been asking me, when are you going to like come home and show this, like, and then also, if you want, we can also give you like the old ones that they've used. And I told them, I said, it's easy to say this like this, but it's a lot of preparation to really put exhibitions together. It's one of the things I'm planning. It may not happen this year, but I'm thinking of it between the middle of next year to really happen, because the lineup I have now is more like around 7 places, 7 countries to show this set alone on its own now. So if I'm going to do, I have to look for space in within that, even if it is not more than a month or so, to show it there. And if I'm going to show it really there, it means that it's going to be more than a month. They will want to really, I want to create it in a way of like a real festival, so that apart from using my own costumes, I want different family, invite them to take like every weekend, this family comes out with their own costumes, dance and make movement and tell stories behind their own. The same thing in that form. So that I'm still working with the Minister of Culture in Nigeria and see how this will be able to work out. So it's one of the things because it's going to the extent, even to the extent we are planning of it also moving this back to Brazil.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things I'm planning to really move it back there, so that, because since the wake-up call for this project start from there, I really want it to be back there. Though I've sent them part of the books, I've been working with the organization who gave me the residence. You might know them. It's called Sakata Instituto. Yeah. They are in a highland called Itaparica. Yeah. So I'm still working with them and see how that will really happen. Because they are shocked, because they are like, when they saw the first one image I sent to them, it was like, you talk about this, that you are going to work on it. So you really have time upon your traveling to be, I said, anytime I'm traveling, I'll cut layers of cloth. Half of my bag would be materials I'm going to work there. Half of the materials is this. So when I'm there, if I have to nail some things with needles, I'll put them together. And then when I go home, I then use the machine, start finishing it. So it's one of the things I'm looking forward to take it back there and then see how it is.
Can you tell us
I think for me, when I decide to do architectural design within the galleries, apart from talking about the whole project itself, I finally first thing to see was to see the space. No matter how measurements they send to me and any other things, it's a different thing. I will make a lot of sketches. And I think this one, I make almost like 6 or 7 sketches that how I'm going to weave it or design it. But I'm telling you, I could not use any of them until when I came here for the meeting that I said, okay, I want to see the space. Then I have to look at the top. I have to see how. So the way all the metals you have in there before, I don't want to remove anything. And I don't want to add anything to it. So it's now for me to take a lot of photographs with that and then go back to my studio and then decide on how I'm going to use it. And when I saw these 4 pillars, because pillars is very, very important. We from Africa, I think there is, especially from Nigeria, we have one thing they said, Okwomulero. That means the pillar is the one that make the house to stand. So when I saw this, it reminded me of house. It reminded me of building, that the 4 angles that we have in a house. And at the same time, so when I saw it, I said, you know what? I want that pillars to stand on their own without touching it. And then I want to see how can I make that structure that I want to create to form a different significant way, also to have a kind of a shape of that old design of hut that people build in those days with clay, with also, which is from the beginning of it was more like using the grasses and trees or bamboo to form the whole house. So this is where, and also in the middle when you look at it, then I was looking at the hourglass. Because when you look at, and you stand in there, you look up, that's exactly what it's telling you. Though it's a lot of process of how we cut the boxes and then join them together and weave. They are all just weave flat. So when I got here, then I have to measure, I have to start weaving them gradually, and then also find a way to make sure that I got the shapes that I'm looking for. Salam alaikum onile, salam alaikum onile, onile musalamo, salam alaikum onile, onile musalamo, salam alaikum onile. Thank you.